Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Access Pass into GM Student Recruiting. I'm extremely excited and honored to have been able to create and host this event for you guys. Tonight, you guys are going to be hearing from current interns and employees to gain insight into our company culture, learn about our different positions for current and graduating students, and discuss some interview tips and tricks for you to be successful in our hiring process. So just a few housekeeping reminders. Please ensure that you are on mute. There will be time for Q&A afterwards. So there is a little icon in the bottom of your screen for Q&A. So you can put in all those questions in there. We will address all questions at the end during the Q&A portion. We will try to answer all the questions as much as possible if time permits. And just a reminder again, this meeting is recorded. Just to introduce myself, I'm Tally. I am currently an HR intern focusing in talent acquisitions. I work remotely from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but I was actually born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela. I got my undergrad from Penn State in hospitality management, and I'm currently pursuing an MBA with a concentration in HR from Nova Southeastern University. My professional experiences mostly comes from hotels and restaurants, so that's really my background, and this is my first official HR internship and role. So next slide. Let's briefly review our agenda for today. So we're going to go over an inclusion message, talk about who we are, GM as a company, talk about our DE&I efforts, share some career positions at GM, spotlighting the engineering and IT positions. And then we're going to go over our hiring process and share some tips. And we're going to end it with some Q&A. So I'm going to pass the mic over to our next presenter.
Thanks so much, Tally, and hi, everyone. My name is Ann Preziosa, and I'm currently an HR IT intern. I'm working remotely in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I grew up. There's a picture of my cat, Miso, as a kitten. I also enjoy cycling and traveling, and there's a picture of Maui in Hawaii when I went last summer. I'm pursuing a Master's of Industrial and Labor Relations degree at Cornell University. I have a BA in biopsychology and a minor in economics from Mills College. I also had an HR summer internship at a law firm in 2020. So today's safety message is about venting gas stoves. This is something that I wasn't aware of until recently, and I've been much more conscious now about ventilating when I cook on gas stoves. So hopefully this will be useful information for you all, and also for the others who don't have gas stoves in case you're ever in a place with them. Thank you everyone for participating. So first, I'll be covering the problem and why we need to ventilate gas stoves when they're being used. And second, I'll go over the solutions and ways we can ventilate. So why should gas stoves be vented? The main reason is that these gas stoves release gases, including carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and formaldehyde, which can cause health problems such as coughing, nausea, reduced lung function, and wheezing. One report done by a company called RMI found that nitrogen dioxide emissions from gas stoves can reach peak levels almost 3 times higher than current EPA 1-hour standard for outdoor air. So activities that can cause such nitrogen dioxide emissions include baking a cake in a gas oven, boiling water, and simply leaving a gas stove on. A meta-analysis found that children living in homes with gas stoves have a 42% increased risk of experiencing asthma symptoms and a 24% increased risk of being diagnosed with asthma by a doctor. So some of the main reasons why children are more vulnerable to these emissions are that they have a higher breathing rate, greater levels of physical activity, higher lung surface to body weight ratios, and immature respiratory and immune systems compared to adults. So given all those points, it's simple to prevent these emissions spreading in one's home. So to solve for this problem, you can ventilate by ensuring that kitchen hoods are turned on and are actually sucking the emissions out of the room instead of just recirculating the air, and turning on exhaust fans or air purifiers can also be a way to rid households from these emissions. If it's feasible and not too hot outside, opening doors and/or windows could also be a way to naturally clean the air in one's home. So at GM, we're committed to safety in everything we do. Nearly all GM presentations I've attended have a safety and/or inclusion message, which I really like because it shows that GM is committed to its goals. GM earns customers for life, builds brands that inspire passion and loyalty, and translate breakthrough technologies into vehicles and experiences that people love. GM also creates sustainable solutions that improve the communities in which people live and work. Our goal is to deliver world-class customer experiences at every touch point and do so on a foundation of trust and transparency. GM is an international company and it's headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. GM employs over 164,000 people, serves 6 continents, operates across 22 time zones, and has a diverse workforce speaking 75 languages. Personally, I've had calls with GM employees all across the USA as well as India. So when automobiles replaced horses and carriages more than 100 years ago, they fundamentally transformed our world. They brought jobs and prosperity, and for so many people, economic and social freedom. However, that positive change came with unintended consequences like crashes that cause injuries and deaths, emissions that contribute to climate change, and congestion that clogs our roads. These are real problems, and GM is using its talent, its technology, and its expertise to solve them. Our vision is a world with 0 crashes, 0 emissions, and 0 congestion. I've always wanted to help combat climate change ever since I was a kid, and GM's vision of 0 emissions was a large contributor to my decision to work here, as I want to work for a company that helps make our planet a better place for everyone, and GM is doing just that. So we recently debuted our new corporate marketing campaign as part of our overall efforts to accelerate the mass adoption of electric vehicles. The Everybody In campaign is a call to action from us meant to reflect a movement that's inclusive and accessible. So our electric future is now. Our technology and innovation roots also underpin our commitment to create an electric and 0 emissions future. GM was the first automaker to mass produce an affordable, fully electric car. The groundbreaking Chevrolet Bolt EV rated with 259 miles of range per charge. We want to put everyone in an EV, and we want to have what it takes to do it. Beyond the societal benefits of electrical vehicles, we are going to drive an amazing ownership experience for our customers. Our current EV customers are every bit as passionate about their vehicles as our Corvette owners are about theirs, not just because of the fuel savings and environmental benefits, but because the instant torque makes them very fun to drive. So as per the USA GM work locations, here's a high-level overview of where GM's employees and facilities sit. So as you can see, it spans across many different states, including Michigan, Texas, and Florida. So here's some of the most popular GM office locations, which are Detroit and Warren in Michigan, as well as Austin, Texas. And now I'll pass it over to Tyler to talk about D&I.
So hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Brentley, and I serve as our engagement strategist, specifically focusing on university, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Now, I know that can be a bit of a mouthful, but essentially my role is focused on supporting our campus recruiting efforts and ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion remain a key focus area. So a little bit more about me personally. First and foremost, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, PA, moved away for school, but as of last year, I relocated back home and I currently live in Pittsburgh now. I'm very passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as education. And last, but certainly not least, I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers sports fan, or Pittsburgh sports fan in general, but Steelers are my team. But anybody that's a Penguins, Pirate, or Steeler fan, shout out to you all. In terms of my educational and professional background, I received my BS in Master of Science in Counseling Education from Youngstown State University, and my professional background is actually in higher education as well. So I spent time working at Youngstown State University in the academic advising capacity, Mercyhurst University in DEI-related capacity, and also taught a few courses, and then most recently at Virginia Tech in a DEI capacity as well. So very much so, engaging with students is something that's near and dear to my heart. So as I mentioned, diversity is a big part of our recruiting and company culture. So on the screen, you'll see GM's 11 employee resource groups. And our employee resource groups are essential for nurturing a culture of inclusion, providing employee support, and a forum in which to express concerns and share experiences. In addition to that, each group works to attract new talent to our company and offers employees opportunities to support General Motors diversity initiatives within the community. Our employee resource groups are an important part of our campus engagement efforts as well. From supporting our recruitment and engagement events to ensure that we're showing up authentically, to educating our team on best practices, our ERGs are vital to all that we do. And at this time, I'm pleased to turn it over to the president of our GM Plus Employee Resource Group, Steven Delgazio.
Hey everyone, so my name is Steven Delgazio, he, him pronouns, and in my day job, I am the program manager for our autonomous vehicles. But in my day job, I lead our employee resource group for the LGBTQ community. So who I am personally, I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, which is right on the border of Mexico and New Mexico. I have that Latino heritage. My family immigrated from Mexico. Currently, I live in Ferndale, Michigan with my partner and my two dogs, Indy and Oliver, which are pictured below. We really enjoy going traveling, taking our dogs together, going out anywhere across the state. We just went up north to the Upper Peninsula here in Michigan. So really beautiful views if you haven't been to Michigan. Professionally, I have my bachelor's in mechanical engineering at UT El Paso, and I went on and did my master's in mechanical engineering at UC San Diego. I had 3 internships prior to starting full-time at General Motors, and I've been here in different roles and capacities throughout the engineering organization for about 9 years now. So I'm here to talk briefly about GM Plus, who we are, what we do, and how we support the community. So employee resource groups are a really great way to get active, learn about different minority groups, make key connections with other employees, especially new employees to the company. In the virtual environment, it can be hard making those connections, developing that network. And so employee resource groups are a really great avenue for doing that. We have employee resource groups for, we went through all 11 that we have, representing different minority groups. A lot of the employee resource groups do career development sessions, networking sessions. They have social outings, social events, both in person and virtual if you're remote, and mentoring programs, which is really important when you're starting out your career. So our employee resource group, we are called GM Plus, and we represent our LGBTQ and allied employees. We have over 1,200 members. I think it's grown now after Pride Month to about 1,600 members. And we have people in 13 countries across the world. So we're expanding pretty quickly here, and we're also one of the most mature employee resource groups in the company. We started back over 25 years ago, started off as like a social organization, and we matured through the development of the diversity group into a formal employee resource group. And in those early time periods, we made a lot of groundbreaking policy changes, like adding protections in place in our non-discrimination policy for gender identity, sexual orientation. So at the core of everything that we do as an employee resource group, we're really working to build that network and ensure an inclusive environment for our queer community. And we know that's really important because we have this really huge vision, 0, 0, 0. You'll hear us talk about it. 0 crashes, 0 emissions, 0 congestion. And in order for us to meet our goals, we need everyone to feel included, be their authentic selves, and be able to show up every day and contribute 100%. So that's what inclusion is all about. And that's what we're trying to drive here for GM Plus. So some of the things that we focus on policy related when it comes to medical benefits, transition guidelines for our gender expansive community, internal and external communications with our brands and our marketing division, education and training. So we provide key training to educate all of our employees about the community within various spaces throughout the company. And then we do mentor programs, so peer-to-peer program focused on developing LGBTQ plus talent. And then some key activities and community outreach. We're really focused on giving back to the community. But HRC, in case you're not aware, Humans Right Campaign, it's one of the largest LGBTQ organizations here in the United States. They have a corporate equality index score, which basically measures your inclusion policies at the corporate level for the queer community. And so we've scored between a 90 and 100 over the last 15 years there through the great work that the ERG has done. We host many different Pride events. So we are primarily focused here in Detroit, which is Motor City Pride, but we've been expanding every year into different areas. We have representation in South America, Mexico, Philippines, just to name a few, and also Canada. And as far as external support for the community, you know, we were the first automaker to sign on in support of the Equality Act, Fair and Equal Michigan. So these two pieces of legislation represent non-discrimination at the state and federal level. Most recently, we just signed on in support for the Respect for Marriage Act. And there's also a HRC business statement against anti-LGBTQ legislation that we signed in support. So a lot of external support for the community in these various areas. Aside from that, we have different advisory boards for gender identity and executives. So we have a small group of out executives at various levels, director, executive, vice president level, who identify as part of the community, and they provide us guidance and they help us out in key areas. And then I mentioned the community outreach, giving back. So we offer financial support for a lot of LGBTQ resource centers like the Trevor Project. Here in Metro Detroit, there's two local organizations called the Ruth Ellis Center, Affirmations, and there's many other organizations that we partner with through our brands, Chevy, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. They all partner with some of these queer organizations to show their support. So that's us in a nutshell. And if you have any questions about employee resource groups, feel free to drop them in the chat, or we can save it for the QA session. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen. Now we're going to talk about the different programs that we have for students and graduating seniors. So our first program is the Student Internship Program. This is a paid 10 to 12 week summer internship. This program offers students hands-on experience to apply their skills, gain experience, and unlock their professional potential. So this program is offered in many different departments like after sales, communication, creative design, data management, finance, HR. You can see the full list here. Anne and I are actually currently in this program now, finishing up very soon, and hopefully want to come back for another offer. So you're probably wondering if you don't qualify for an internship and you're a graduating student. We also have our track program. This is our entry-level rotational program. In after sales, creative design, finance, HR, manufacturing engineering, product engineering, and purchasing and supply chain. So this is either a 2 or 3 year rotational program. So if it's a 2-year program, you're going to rotate every 6 months. And if it's a 3-year program, you rotate every year, depending on whether you are a product engineering role or a non-product engineering role. So this is a very good experience for after graduation. And if we don't offer your preferred department in that track rotational program, don't worry. We also have other entry-level positions in IT, digital business tech, data, customer experience, quality, and research and development. Just know that these are not rotational programs. They're just going to be a full entry-level position. I also wanted to briefly mention some of our benefits that we offer for our entry-level positions. So we have great medical plans, a 401k with matching contributions and time off. As well as that, we also have tuition assistance, career ambassador networks, and employees have friends and family discounts for all GM vehicles. So it's a very nice tool to have. All right, so now we're going to spotlight two of our biggest departments, which is engineering and IT. So I'm going to pass it over to Avita.
Hello, everybody. Hi, I am Avita Viterini. I'm from the Global Product Development Organization, which is our engineering group. And I am the manager for the TRAC, which is our entry-level new hire program, which I'll talk a little bit about more, as well as our student program, which is the internships I'll also speak about. Before we get into the overview of engineering, I wanted to share a little bit about myself. And if you can't tell, I like pictures. So we've got a busy slide here. I live in Rochester Hills, Michigan. My husband and my two boys is who I live with. My boys are 8 and 10. And as you can see in the top left picture, that is, I say hot off the press. We just got back from Italy a few weeks ago. So we had to, of course, take the traditional Leaning Tower of Pisa photo. And then another thing, my family, not just myself, but we have a strong passion for STEM future. And so in my spare time, my husband and I run the first Lego League Robotics Junior at our local elementary school. So lots of Legos at our house and, teaching kids to code at a young age. Very excited about that. As far as my educational and professional background, I went to the University of Michigan for my mechanical engineering degree. And then I also have my MBA from Oakland University. My professional background, before I joined General Motors, I was in the construction and energy business, and then I segued into GM with that energy background into the CO2 strategy team. And Mickey Mouse in a Camaro, I just had to throw that in here because it's two of my favorite things, GM and vehicles, plus our family's love for Disney. So you can go on to the next slide. So I won't read everything on this slide, but just wanted to give you a brief overview of, what you could be working on in the hardware space. I know there's some questions in the chat that I was trying to address. This is more of the mechanical engineers and electrical engineers and some of the work you can do. It's certainly not limited to those 2 degrees, but predominantly those are the engineers that work within this hardware space. So you could work on interior comfort, you could work on performance, safety, sensors. There's a lot to do here. And then if you segue into the next slide, a little overview on the software space. And then some of the departments are listed over to the right, infotainment, telematics, driver assist systems. This is where a lot of the computer engineers and computer science majors gravitate towards. Like I said, it is not limited. We have plenty of electrical engineers and mechanical engineers in this space as well. And, if you go to the next slide, I'll give you an overview of the TRAC program and talk about, the flexibility between the hardware and the software space. So the TRAC program, which at General Motors, Technical Rotation and Career Knowledge is the acronym for TRAC, what it stands for. It's a 2-year program. So as you enter General Motors, and I want to make it clear to everybody, this is not a probation type program. You are a GM employee on day 1. You join this unique program where it's a 2-year commitment. You have 4 rotations at 6 months each. And I won't read every word on this slide for time purposes, but rotation extensions are not, everybody moves at the same time. All of our hundreds of engineers move at the same interval. And primarily the work is done in the 3 Michigan locations of Warren, Pontiac, and Milford. So within this process, you will be able to express and voice your interest into where you'd like to work. So there will be lots of information sessions giving you overviews on the different departments, and then you would submit a preference survey for where you'd like to work for every rotation. So just wanted to make it clear that you will have a voice in where you can work. And so the requisition numbers for our 2023 opportunities, and I know there was another question in the chat about when these are available. They were just made available a few weeks ago. So you're one of the first people to hear about this live in a session like this. I will post these direct links in the chat so that you have them. We have a hardware engineer rotational program, which, like I said, is more the hardware space. We also have a software engineer rotational program. And then new this year, we are trying out a remote pilot program for a smaller group for remote opportunities within the software space. So this is new for this year. And once again, I will provide the links in the chat, and you can read in much more detail about the backgrounds we're looking for, the degree types, the type of assignments you may have. The requisitions will help answer a lot of your questions. And then next slide, I think might be my last one. Very similar to my prior, this is just a glimpse at the student program. So the internship program. So it is 10 to 12 weeks. You will have one assignment or one role for that duration. So no rotating within the internship. You will spend your summer in one assignment, and similar locations, the Warren, Pontiac, and Milford here in Southeastern Michigan. For the internship program, we do not offer the remote it is either on-site or hybrid. So we would like for you to be in the Southeastern Michigan area. There's a lot of interaction and value in, getting on site and interacting and really seeing our products live on site. So the requisitions for the opportunities here for our student internship program are listed there. Same breakdown between the hardware and the software. And once again, I will put those in the chat. I think that's it for my section.
So hi, everyone. My name is Dan Deschamps, and I've been chatting with many of you in the chat room or in the Q&A here. There's 52 questions in there. So I know I've answered about 20 of those already. So I'll try to hit those as I go through. I am a senior manager in information technology. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm interested in IT or in coding. The one thing I would say is we do software on the engineering side, and we also do it in just the pure information technology side. And that's sort of the area that I come from. I've been at GM now for 8 years. I'm a Sun Devil. I graduated from Arizona State, so I have my cactuses on there. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So in information technology at GM, there's kind of two different pillars, right? If you look at this slide, there's this digital business team, and I'm actually in that team. And then we have sort of the pure information technology group. And in either case, you're definitely going to be writing software. So that's what we're primarily focused on, is creating new software. Now that software might be on your phone. It might be in the infotainment unit on your in the vehicle. It might be on a website. It could be any of the above. We create different types of systems, both internally and externally. And you can imagine in a company the size of GM that sells, we try to sell, more than 1 million vehicles a year. There's a lot of IT systems that go into a business of this size. I believe right now we're about 12,000 employees in information technology. And so you can see all the list of things that we do here. The difference between the digital business team and information technology, honestly, in December, it was one team and we just split it into 2 teams. The digital business team, I always tell people, you think you applied for a job at General Motors and we make cars, but what you really did was you just got a job at a technology company. Because the way we see vehicles now is that they're not just automobiles, they're really a platform. And so we can build digital services on top of that platform. Things like subscription-based services through the infotainment unit is going to be huge in the next, between now and 2030. By 2030, we want to be making $20 to $30 billion a year in subscription-based services. We want to generate $63 a month on every car we make. So think about that. It's like HBO Max, Hulu, everything in your TV, all those different Disney Channel, you pay for all these, that's going to be your car. So that's sort of the digital business, is creating all these new businesses around that subscription based. And then information technology is sort of the core: supply chain, building cars, research and development, all the systems it takes to sort of run the company. So that's all the things in IT, and it's everywhere. Okay, next slide. I'll go fast now. I like to set that foundation. So these are the roles. Some of you are like, hey, I'm very interested in writing code, or I want to do mobile. From left to right, this is a pretty simple story. On the left, there's some sort of business need. Someone says, I need a new application that allows me to connect my customers through, I'm a sales manager, through an app to tell them about specials we're having or sales that we might be having on a vehicle, or a new digital service that they can download. That's a business need. Step one, a business analyst works with the business and writes down the requirements. What does this thing do? Step two, a software developer codes the solution or creates the solution. Now, someone in the chat was like, hey, I'm a data person. What jobs do you have? They're right there. We do business intelligence, data analysts, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data scientists. To us, they're all software development, different kinds, very focused on data, but it's still just software development. Once the solution is created, we then move into software testers. We actually call them software developers in test, because our testers write code also. We test code with other code. So there's that step. And then the final step is we have operations analysts, and their job is to operate all this stuff in production. So if something goes bump in the night, as one of my servers did 3 days ago. An alarm goes off, somebody goes in, resets a Kubernetes pod, and boom, we're back in production. So that's sort of the left to right of the roles that we have. So again, the first one, this is sort of coding skills required. You'll see the 5 bullets underneath there: developer, software developer and test, business intelligence, data analyst, AI ML, data scientist, and also information security analysts. You know, somebody was saying, I got a master's degree in cyber. I'm like, yeah, here, this is the job. It's listed in the upper right in orange. Go apply for that. And they'll say, oh, cyber guy. You'll just get funneled to a manager who's looking for that. We used to post like 15 positions and nobody could find like the job they wanted. It was too much. So we said, you know what, we'll just put all these jobs together. You apply in one place, and then we as hiring managers, we'll pull out the people we're looking for. You know, if you're a cyber person, they're very picky. They won't touch you if you're just a computer science. They're looking for somebody with cyber. So we sort of do it. We took the onus on us to get you to the right group. We are looking for these core degrees here: computer science, computer engineering, software engineering, or similar STEM degrees. I got a guy on my team who just graduated in June. His degree was in mathematics. He's doing awesome. So, you know, it's sort of like, it's just a math degree, but he's great at algorithms. He had done some computational science. He's doing great. He's writing React and Java right now. So go figure. We're looking for graduates from basically as far back as last January, all the way to next summer. So somebody was like, I don't graduate till May of next year. Is it too soon? No, now's the perfect time. We're hiring you right now. You could have a job by October 1st and you don't graduate till next June. That's fine. You'll just walk it. You'll literally have a job set 10 months before you graduate. All of our jobs, again, you must be legally authorized to work in the United States now and in the future. We are not offering sponsorship. I get that question a lot, so I put it in there. And then as far as locations, we have 4 core innovation centers. However, we are also running sort of a hybrid model. I'm in the office today, but literally I'm one of like 10 people in this building. We do get together from time to time, but a lot of people work remotely almost full time. Next slide. This is a brand new job. We didn't even have this ever before, but this is this idea of coding skills are not required. So you saw that little left to right and somebody said, hey, that's a good chronology. Thank you. The first step is that business analyst. We used to be like, we only want like former developers or former testers to be business analysts, because you got to kind of live the lifestyle a little bit to understand how the business is thinking. But we're over that. We've realized that we can take a brand new college graduate who's like, yeah, you know, I have a STEM degree, but I don't want to write code. I'm too social of a creature. I don't want to put a headset on all day. No problem. We're going to put you with the business and you're going to document requirements. You're going to elicit those requirements and you're going to turn the business need into a technical story that a developer like me can just put heads down and code it. So business analysts, new job, super cool. Love that we have that job, because a lot of people want that job. And then the next one is the operations analyst. Again, dynamic role, root cause analysis, production support. We train you how to do that. Same sort of, the rest of the requirements are sort of the same: computer science, computer engineering, software, STEM. You know, some people are like, oh, I'm a DevOps person. That operations analyst job is perfect for you. And the rest of that is the same. Internships. We haven't posted this yet, but we do have an internship in IT. We usually post it in Q4. So usually like around October, we'll post this and then we'll fill it. And basically it's primarily developers and testers. We take you for the whole summer, 10 to 12 weeks. It's a paid internship. Again, it's kind of the same game in terms of what we're looking for. You can see the qualifications are usually graduating in December of 23 through June of 25. Our goal after your internship is you literally walk out of here and we hand you a job offer. Our conversion rate on interns is over, I think it's around like 88%. So almost 9 out of 10 interns take a job with us. Next slide. I think that's it. So that's it. Last thing I'll just say is count. We're looking for, in this cycle, 650 new software developer types. Again, I say types because it includes all those other roles. And we're looking for 100 interns. So lots and lots of opportunity here at GM. Obviously, we're a big company. And we, you know, every year we hire between 700 and 1,000 new college grads. So yeah, great place to work. Look forward to seeing you apply and talking to you all soon. And with that, I'll hand it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate your insights. So now let's talk about our hiring process and what it takes to get hired at General Motors. So first, after you found a position that you're interested in, you're going to submit an online application in our career site. After submitting your application, a talent acquisitions partner will then review that application. Please note for softer roles, this step might also include completing a digital assessment. So I know a lot of you guys were asking about that in the chat. So yes, we do require code view, but that will only be for software roles. If you meet all of the qualifications and we think you'll be a good fit, you'll be invited to attend a formal interview. After the completion of your interviews, the interview team will then identify the most qualified candidates and then extend an offer. So now let's talk about what actually interviewing at General Motors looks like. So for General Motors, we use the STAR interview structure. This includes saying the situation or task that occurred, what actions you took, and then the results that happened because of that. So I'm going to share an experience from my own personal experience. So I was asked about a time I had to deal with conflict. So my situation was that a dishwasher and a server were arguing because the server kept throwing dirty dishes into the sink, which would then get the dishwasher. So it resulted in a screaming argument. So that was my situation. So the actions that I took was I separated those two. I got both of their statements. I had them calm down a little bit. And then I put them into a room together to kind of work out their differences and make amends. So those were the actions that I took. And then lastly, I talk about the results that happened because of my actions. So later they became actual friends and they never argued again after that, thanks to my little huddle up. So if your results are not happy and you don't actually have a happy ending, that's completely okay. Just share about what happened, how you learn from it, and how you're going to learn and grow, and what you're going to do next time this situation occurs. So now I'm going to share some of our interview tips and tricks. So please, first, find a quiet place without any distractions. I know sometimes that's a little difficult, but try your best, even if you have to just lock yourself in your room. Dress professionally, especially from the top up, if it's a digital interview. Consider lighting and the positioning of your camera. You don't want to be too close to the camera or too far away from the camera. Research common questions and practice saying those out loud, especially in front of the mirror. It helps a lot. And then it's okay to have notes to refer to them throughout your interview, just in case you don't want to forget anything specifically. You can have your notes right next to you. And then answering questions, you want to make sure that you cite specific examples, be as specific and detailed as possible. And then lastly, just relax and be yourself. Your interviews are just people too, and they really just want to get to know you. So this is how I believe that these are our tips to how you guys can stand out. So first, you want to make sure that you have high energy and act excited and like you want to be here. Make sure you always have a smile on your face and you're good and ready to go. And research the company prior to the interview. This is extremely important because they might ask you questions pertaining to the company. And I love finding a recent news article and then asking questions about that news article. Expand on your responses. You never want to give one-word answers. Always talk and expand on everything that you want to say. Ask questions, ask follow-up questions. You'll never ask too many questions. Send a thank you message, typically within 24 hours, just a nice thank you email, thanking them for their time. Be friendly and courteous. Thank them for their time, and that's the most extremely important one. Be patient. Most interviewers are taking notes in between your questions, so just be patient while they're making those notes. And watch your body language. You don't want to have your face in your mouth. You don't want to be leaning like that, like you're looking bored. You want to be excited and ready to be here. Have your resume next to you. Sometimes when you're in the moment, it's really hard to remember some key activities. So it's a very good idea to keep that resume next to you. And then lastly, sell yourself. This is the time to brag and sell and talk about all of your skills and accomplishments. All right, so I know a lot of our recruiters was not able to make it tonight, but they still wanted to share some advice for you guys. So I made a little quote for them. So next slide. So our first up is our recruiter, Colin. He wanted you guys to know to practice answering common questions, have questions to ask your interviewer because it shows that you are interested in the company, and be able to articulate what stands out to you about the X, Y, and Z company, and be yourself, show some of your personality, and don't be overboardly robotic in your process. Smile and let your interviewers know that you're excited about the role and the company. So those were his advice. The next slide. Next up, we have Anila. So Anila wanted you guys to know what you want and let your passion speak for you. Show your curiosity and what efforts you have taken to understanding your interests. Show that you have taken some time to actually research that company, and then let yourself shine and trust that you've got this. Next up is Lisa. So voicemail, set it up and make sure there's room for employers to actually leave a voicemail. You also want to make sure that it is professional. So please, after this session, double check your voicemail, make sure it's professional. And practice, review general questions and have an idea of answers you want to use. Review your resume and have friends and family review your resume. I recommend putting education at the very top. It's very important. Express your excitement. Interviewing is like a blind date. We want to know what you're interested in being here. So that's very important. Always show that you're happy and thrilled. And next slide. All right, and last but not least, it's Oliver. So he said to get involved in activities in and out of school in their areas of interest, especially in a leadership capacity when able. Pursue some internships ahead of graduating from college. Mold your resume towards the job that you're applying for. Look for key terms in the job description and try to include as many of those direct references in your resume. This is an extremely important tip. So you should never be submitting the same resume for every single job. Make sure you're tailoring it to that job that you are applying for. And then lastly, it's okay to check in on your application status if you haven't heard back after a couple of weeks. But I will warn against being overly eager or pushy with multiple requests for status updates, as it can often have the opposite effect of what you're hoping for. So I really hope that these interview tips were helpful for you guys. Next slide. All right, so now we're going to open up the floor for questions. Thank you guys so much for listening, and let's see what kind of questions you have. And while you guys are asking your questions, I did want to remind you that our applications are live now. So make sure that you submit those applications as soon as possible. So I'll take it away with Anne.
Great. Thank you so much, Tally. That was great. And we really appreciate everyone's participation in this Q&A. So I'll now read out some of the questions that were asked and see if me or other presenters could answer them. So the first question we have is from Brandon, and it is, what is the difference between the product engineering and non-product engineering track aside from the length of the program? And does anyone on this call have an answer to this question? All right, well, we will have our LinkedIn link sent out, so you could reach out to us then, and we will be sure to get back to you. All right, next question is travel covered for the internship program? So what I know on that question is that there are relocation expenses provided, at least for the internship that I'm in, so the HR internship, and if there are any other comments from the presenters, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, no, this is Dan. I think that's the same for IT as well. Agree, same.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dan. And then let's see here. So how long is the application timeline for the entry-level IT coding skills required? In other words, what does the application process look like?
Yeah, so our goal from start to finish, once you sort of, get interviewed to offer, is great. It's like 1 week. However, we haven't really ramped up our interview team yet. So we haven't even started doing interviews. So what I would tell you is you're probably going to be, if you apply today, you're probably not going to hear anything for, a few weeks. And then you'll get the higher view assessment. And then once that, or the code view assessment, once that comes through, you're sort of in the process, usually within 2 weeks, start to finish. But again, I'll just say, we haven't even really started. This is the first event I've been to, and the team isn't really ramped up for fall recruiting yet. So you guys are definitely at the top of the pack and the first in the list to get into that process.
Awesome, thank you so much.
But when we're cranking, like if you apply in October, I would tell you 2 weeks once we're rolling.
Gotcha, thank you.
Sure.
And let's see here. So will the recording or these slides be made available to us? So from what I know, they will be made available. They'll be sent out to all the attendees here after this recording is done. So for the 2023 hardware engineering internship, is there an option to submit a cover letter, and who should we address it to?
Yes,
Anyone?
yes, you can attach a cover letter with your resume. You could, to whom it may concern, or, you know, I will ultimately look at it however you'd like to. It does not really matter, but you can certainly attach one.
Thank you, Evita.
Thanks.
Let's see, so for the entry-level hardware program, what skill sets do GM look for?
So once again, just if you click on the rec that I had posted, it'll give a nice summary rather than me talking through it. It's quite a lengthy requisition, so you'll be able to see there and pinpoint, decide which one you want to apply for.
Thank you, Evita. So for the 2023 start date for the track programs, can graduates from 2022 still apply?
Oh, yes, for engineering at least, yes, you can apply. And on the start dates, I think I saw a question come up. We have 3 start dates for 2023. They're in January, June, and July. And yes, if you graduated in 2022, you certainly can still apply.
And from Reiki, what coding language will need to do the coding challenge in?
Yeah, so there's multiple options. I don't remember all of them, but I know that I've seen Java, JavaScript, and Python typically are the 3 that most people use. But you can actually pick, I think, and C#.net as well. You can pick. That's probably something you could Google. Just Google code view languages, but it allows you to use a multitude, whatever you're comfortable with.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan.
Sure.
And now let's see. Will you guys be attending the SHPE National Convention in North Carolina?
I do believe so.
I think so. We go every year. So I don't know that for certain, but we go every year. So that's an easy assumption.
And
We go to Grace Hopper. We go to that. We go to NISB. You know, the big events were always there.
great. And are there any IT/cybersecurity opportunities with GM? I know we touched on this.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I posted it in there. For us, just apply for the coding skills required job, and then if you're in your purpose, just say I'm a cyber person, and we'll route you to the cyber team. Again, we used to post dedicated positions for every different thing, and it was just so hard on applicants that now it's like one big posting, and then we'll funnel you to that. And the first time you talk to anybody, just say I'm a cyber person, and boom, we'll get you over to that group.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And would an industrial and systems engineer be considered for the business analyst and operations analyst positions?
Yes. Yep. I've also hired mechanical engineers as software developers. They do great. So, you know, they come out and they're like, I know MATLAB and SolidWorks and C, and I'm like, good enough. We can work with that. So the answer is definitely a yes for coding and non-coding.
Great. Thank you
By
so
the
much.
way, I'm a biomedical engineer by trade. So here I am in IT for 20 plus years. My degree was biomed. So
That's awesome. Well, that falls well into our next question. What opportunities would there be for someone with a bioengineering/biomedical engineering background?
Again, both those positions are available. I'm sure the engineers have plenty too. I've looked before because I get it a lot because people find out what my background is, and I believe there's like environmental engineering. They look at the bios, and there's some engineering roles as well that are very interested in bio. But certainly both jobs in IT, you know, that STEM degree, you know, you have to take a language. So we all know how to program coming out. Sometimes it's circuits or whatever, but you coded.
Thank you so much. And then from Zachary here, if we're able to share this, he's asking for a salary range for the track program.
You can connect with me. We don't really share it in these type of forums, but yeah, we can connect. And actually that's more, you know, once we get closer to the offer stage, we'll get the details and the whole compensation benefits package will be shared.
Perfect. Thank you, Evita. And then Gladleys is asking, are there any opportunities for internship near California? Now I can answer that. I am based in California currently. I'm working remotely. There are offices in the Bay Area, so specifically Cruise and Bright Drop are here. So if anyone wants to add further to that response.
Yeah, I would just say there's other CCAs out there. We've got a lot of stuff in California.
Perfect. And then Cindy is asking, is it okay / recommended to apply for more than one internship position?
I would say yes. Yeah. I would say apply to all the jobs that look good to you. If you're like, I'd like that, apply.
Thank you. And Chadwick is asking, what qualities does GM look for when applying for the business analysis position?
Again, primarily just sort of having a STEM degree, although even with the BA roles, we'll consider like not pure STEM. Like as an example, I'm trying to think like there's a computer information systems, management information systems. There's like really a business degree. It's not a STEM degree, but they sort of lean towards, business processes. That would be the main sort of experience that we're looking for. Because your job is to sit down with the business and say, what do you want us to build? And you have to understand the business process. So as an example, they might say, oh, I need to work a sales pipeline. And you're like, okay, so it's a customer relationship management system. How many engagements did we have? How many times did we contact them? Did they build a car online and save it into their virtual garage? And like IT guys code that stuff, but BAs figure out like, would they want a garage and you can save multiple cars there and then they can share it as a poster with their friends with the QR code that if they click it, like we build all that stuff. Some BA has to write down those requirements. So just sort of being able to understand business stuff, but be technical so you can turn it into a requirement.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. And I know we're coming just at a time. So Tally, do you have any last remarks?
But yeah, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. And I want to thank everyone so much for attending. I really hope that you found this event to be informative and we encourage you to pursue a position at General Motors. I wanted to give a special thanks to all of our guest speakers. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great night, everyone. If you do have other questions, and we do apologize that we couldn't reach to them because of time constraints, and please feel free to message us separately on the way up, which is where you signed up for this event. You can also apply for our jobs here and message us via way up. So thank you guys so much. And I hope you consider GM for your internship and your post-grad jobs. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Stay safe.